Okay, I'm going to be making homemade southern fried crookneck or summer squash. This is what the squash looks like. And I've already started some because for the purposes of video you don't want to watch about 15-minute video. But I cut the ends off like this. And then I like to quarter them because I'll show you why in just a second. But I like to make my squash really thin, so for the way that I like to cook it. So I'll just cut that down, the whole squash, and that's what I want in the pan. So what I've done is I've already cut 3 of these down, and I've put them in about 2 tablespoons of oil. I heated the oil, I poured the squash, the raw squash over it. I salted it and peppered it to my taste, and then what I do is I begin to sear one side. And what I mean is I'm trying to brown or give a crust to one of the sides. And so I'm going to show you what I've done. This is almost finished. This may look burnt to some people, but what this does is by cooking it and reducing it down in the oil to this consistency, I have almost reduced the squash in size by about maybe half, cooked off a lot of the water that's in squash, and by doing so, this just really flavors up the squash because it's so dense now. And then at the end, see, I've turned my heat down to real low. I take oil, cornmeal and just sprinkle it over, and this will take up any of the leftover oil that's in the pan. And let me show you what I do with that. I just begin to kind of stir it around, kind of like a stir fry now. And the cornmeal gets coated on all sides of the squash now. Now this is just going to be enough squash for 2 people, just my husband and I. And we're just heating up that cornmeal. The pan is still hot. We've just put the last part of this stage of cooking the summer crookneck squash in a pan-fried way. Now there are other ways to cook squash, but this is one of our favorites because once it gets to this consistency, it is so reduced down that those flavors just really pop. This is not burnt. I know that some of you, I'm not sure how the video is going to show, but it is very crispy on one side. And I tried to, as I was cooking it, I would take the spatula and turn it over throughout the cooking process because I want that crispiness on each side. And the ones that weren't crispy, I would kind of put over the hottest part of the skillet like that. But there is a dinner, accessory to your dinner. This is summer crookneck squash from my home in Tennessee to you throughout the world. Bye for now.